You've got to pimp my ride.
Yo dog, I heard you like dreams, so put your dream within a dream within a dream. So Inception has just passed its 10-year anniversary, and with Tenet apparently coming out soon, I thought I'd take another look at the film to break down all of the cool little details in it. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you've been living in a dream world and haven't had a chance to check it out yet, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. If you enjoy the video, then please drop a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel for breakdowns like this every day. With that out of the way, welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Definition. Now let's get into our breakdown of Inception. Okay, so let's start at the top. So Inception has an ambiguous ending that at the time left every viewer debating whether the main character Cobb had returned to the real world or if he was actually still stuck in a dream. It's something that fans have gone back and forth over for the past decade, but Nolan actually did drop a specific clue in the movie that confirmed Cobb made it home to his family. Throughout the film, whenever the character is in a dream, he can be seen wearing his wedding ring. This is because his wife Mallorie is very much alive whenever he's in a sedated state, and thus he doesn't want to quite cast away the memory of her. This is probably a theory that you've seen dotted about on the internet before, as it's been around for a while now. However, one thing that I haven't seen discussed very much centers around Cobb's totem. Throughout the entire movie, we are told that the spinning top is actually his totem, and that this is what he uses to assess whether he's in the real world or not. I actually don't believe that this is the case at all, and I think that he simply tells everyone that it is because he's so paranoid. Cobb clearly struggles with grasping reality in the first place, and I feel like he's the kind of character that will keep his true totem to himself. We're told in the film that no one should touch anyone else's totem, and that doing so can cause issues. The spinning top itself also belonged to Mal, so it is unlikely that Cobb would actually use it, especially due to how much the character infects his dreams. The fact that we know the wedding ring indicates what's real and what isn't, to me tells us that the ring is actually what Cobb's totem is. If he's wearing it, he knows he's in a dream, and if he's not, he knows he's in reality, which is far more trustworthy than a spinning top. Cobb does spin this at the end of the movie, but upon seeing his family's faces, he goes to them instead, allowing it to spin without even seeing the outcome. Doing this pretty much invalidates the spin, showing that he simply doesn't care about the result because he already knows the truth. The cool little Easter eggs don't stop there either, and if you take the first letter of all of the characters' names in the movie and rearrange them, they actually spell out the words "Dreams Pay." The movie itself is of course about a crew that makes money from carrying out heists in dreams, and thus dreams pay. This is because of Dom, Robert, Eames, Arthur, Mal, Saito, Peter, Ariadne, and Yusef. The names also have specific meanings behind them, as Cobb was actually the name of a thief in Nolan's first film, The Following. It also means dream in Sanskrit, and on top of this, it could be seen as meaning cobweb, which is of course a trap laid out by a spider. Cobb pretty much traps people in mazes and webs throughout the movie, so I definitely think it ties in with this. Ariadne is actually from ancient myths, and the name comes from the story The Minotaur and the Labyrinth. This is also fitting as she's a character that builds mazes too. Yusuf is the Arabic version of Joseph, someone who interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams in the Bible, and Fisher may actually come from the stories of King Arthur. In the myths, Fisher's kingdom changed due to the wounds that were inflicted upon him, and throughout the film we see as the locations change depending on his mind state. Now as for the story and its many Easter eggs, we open unsure of exactly what's going on, with Cobb washing up on the shore. Nolan stated that he wanted the movie itself to feel like a dream for the viewer, in that we didn't really have any idea how he got there. The credits of the movie reflect this too, and the title text Inception appears 3 times at the end of the film. This is meant to represent the 3 layers, and as we watch the text pop up, we are coming further out of the dream that the movie has taken us through. Cobb is taken to Saito's palace, which we learn the character actually constructed for him earlier in the movie so that he could carry out a heist. As we learn, every structure within the dreamer's subconscious can exist down there, so it makes a lot of sense how this location was carried across. We're then introduced to Mal as she looks over the edge of a balcony, something that teases how the character died in real life. You also see a picture by Francis Bacon hanging up in the back of a room. This was actually created by the artist to remember his lover who sadly died. The painting is very much a representation of Bacon trying to hold on to his lover's memory, but how he's created a twisted version of them, much like how Cobb has with his late wife. Cobb goes about stealthily killing the projections in Saito's subconscious, and though his gun has a silencer on it, he puts his hand over it to catch the cartridge as it ejects in order to not make any extra sounds. Cobb gets the secrets, but is caught by Saito, who was informed of what they were doing by Mal. Now Mal is an extension of Cobb, and there's actually a cool little moment here which gives that away. When Saito discovers that Cobb has managed to steal his secrets, Mal can actually be seen smiling for a split second, showing she's happy he got away with it. We learn about dreams within dreams, and are also introduced to the song Non, je n'en regrette rien. Ho ho ho. A slowed down version of this song is actually used at the beginning of the movie when we see Cobb waking up on the shore. Frank Sinatra did a play on this for his infamous song My Way, but there's a lot going on in the original version that hints towards the psychology of Cobb. The song is actually about having no regrets and leaving the past behind, something that the protagonist refuses to do because of his wife's death. Cobb even has an elevator that provides access to floors filled with regret, so it's clear that he's got a lot he would like to change. However, at the end, he finally lets go and reunites with his family, shedding the idea of her, which has held him back throughout the film. This all ties in with the song, and it is possible that Cobb could even be the job himself, and the mission is actually to try and wake him up and get him to come back to reality, but that's a topic for another video. Michael Caine, aka Miles, does hint at this, and yeah, let me know if you'd like me to discuss it in more detail. Now, after the job goes to crap, they wake up on board the train, and Cobb leaves as quickly as he can. He's told to just find another carriage, but he gets off the ride completely after saying that he doesn't like trains. In the movie, we learn that he and his wife used a train to kill themselves in the deeper levels of their subconsciousness so that they could wake up. Cobb is clearly tormented by trains, and one actually shows up repeatedly throughout the movie at very awkward moments, so yeah, he really doesn't like them. The train carries the number 3502 on it, and we discover that this was the room number that he and his wife spent their anniversary in at a hotel. Another number which reappears throughout the film is 528491. Fisher comes up with this randomly, but it later appears as the blonde lady from Westworld's phone number. It's also broken up to be part of the rooms that the team stay in. The top room is 528, and the room directly below it that Arthur sets explosives in is 491. Yikes. In the finale, Fisher also opens the safe with the code 528491, so yeah, it appears throughout the film. Now if this hasn't blown your mind, then you should also know that hashtag 528491 can be used as a hex color code to display the shade of cyan, which was used on a lot of branding in the movie. Bwam! Yeah, that's the noise of every graphic designer's head exploding. Now from here, Cobb goes to Miles and is introduced to Ariadne. Cobb puts her through her paces and gets her to design a maze. Initially he gives her a notepad with a grid on it, she draws a rectangular maze, but fails time and time again. Clearly the grids are holding her back, and thus she flips the notepad around and draws the maze on the back of the pad where there's no lines to distract her. Cobb also can't tear this out because it makes for the base of the book, and thus, you got 'em there Ariadne, you bloody got 'em. Now when planning out how they're gonna carry out the heist, they spend the majority of the scenes in the dream world. This is because time works differently in a dream, and using the time dilation that's present within the realities, they have a lot longer to plan out the mission. We also meet Eames, who is a forger, and when we first come across the character, he's gambling and actually loses his hand. However, he still goes up with a full stack of chips, likely meaning that they're fake. This is hinted at by Cobb picking one up, and Eames saying that his forgery goes far beyond handwriting. We also meet Yusef, who works with chemicals and sedatives. You might notice his cat climbing around and licking the pot beside him, and the next time we see it, it's asleep, so we can kinda guess what was in that. Slowly, they put it all together and board the same plane as Fisher, which is chartered by Saito. Cobb orders a water, which Fisher then gets too, and this gives Cobb the opportunity to sedate him as he takes the first glass and then passes it forward. You could say he intercepted the drink. I'm here all week, thank you. Now, a cool little detail that all of the cars have is their own state motto in this reality. Normally, American cars have state mottos, so you can tell where they're from, but in Inception, the phrase across all of them is the alternate state. The alternate state is of course a reference to dreams, which are often classed as, you guessed it, an alternate state. They then take Fisher to a safe house, and I love how when Eames is adopting his Browning disguise, you can slowly see him changing in the mirrors on the dressing table. After Fisher's subconscious descends on the location, the group flee to a bridge whilst they go further into their target's mind. A cool little moment happens when Yusuf actually sticks his middle finger up to Fisher's forces right before he drives off the bridge. That's a bit of a blink and you'll miss it moment, but it's really cool, and I spotted it because I've done it to a couple of people myself. The group arrive at the Hotel Valifanero, which we can see written on a napkin. Edward de Valifanero was allegedly a conman who put together a group that stole the Mona Lisa in 1911. He wished to make copies of it to sell them off to 6 buyers, but the group were caught and the painting was returned in 1913. There's actually no evidence that Eduardo existed, so this is a cool little Easter egg for the name of the hotel, and also the heist that he carried out is very similar to the one that these are trying. They trick Fisher into going further into the dream with them, whilst Arthur stays behind to set up the kick. This starts one of the best scenes in film history, and I don't even care, that hallway fight still looks incredible. Now, the lack of gravity provided a lot of challenge for the filmmakers, namely with Ellen Page's hair and how it would move. Thus, Nolan solved this by just tying a hair up in a bun to stop it moving about. In the rooms, we can also see certain things floating around, except for the duvets on the bed. Hotel duvets are normally tucked in very tightly, so this is a nice little bit of attention to detail. The way that the scenes are edited are also very similar to a technique to what Nolan would later use in Dunkirk. The top level scenes, time length wise, are shorter than the middle, which are in turn shorter than the bottom level. So just as time gets longer, the further down we go in the levels, the length of the scenes do too. Now in the ice base, I want to call it, it's very similar to the James Bond movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Nolan actually said that this was his favourite Bond movie, so it's great to see him paying homage here, and hopefully one day he gets to direct one too. They infiltrate the base, but Mal unfortunately shows up and intercepts their plans. No one is actually able to warn Fisher because before he enters the complex from the pipes, his radio cackles up and he turns it off. They enter the subconscious that Cobb and Mal built in order to rescue Fisher, whilst Arthur moves the bodies about. I love how he had to tie them up in order to transport them around the hotel, and he even closes the briefcase before things go 0G so that the equipment inside it doesn't go floating around everywhere. In the third layer, Cobb expresses his guilt over the spinning top within Mal's mind, as this made her lose her grip on reality. This is where it's once more confirmed that Mal's totem was the top, and thus it does add a lot of weight to our theory at the start of the video. Now I have seen people say that Cobb was a bad dude for doing this, however all he was trying to do was make Mal realise that the reality they'd built was, well, not real. However, this Inception worked too well, and upon exiting the dream world, she started to question everything. So yeah, Cobb wasn't a bad guy, but it was his fault that Mal died. Now Cobb sends Ariadne and Fisher up to the top level and travels to Saito, which is what we see in the opening of the movie. Because Saito died before Fisher and the others in the upper layer, he's been down there for much longer and has aged considerably. It's also possible that the entire movie has all just been a flashback of Cobb sat like this at the table, and this is kind of why we cut back to it instantly at the beginning. In dreams, you can often go through time and to a different location instantaneously, and it is possible that Cobb himself is sort of daydreaming about what led to this moment as he remembers it. Fisher comes face to face with his father, who gives him the windmill that we saw the young Robert have as a child, and thus the idea that he should go on a different path to his father is planted within his mind. Cobb rescues Saito, who makes the call to allow him through at the border, and thus he gets to go home to his family. Now there's not much going on in this scene, but on the table we can see a small little building made out of blocks. Cobb's son even says we're building a house on a cliff, hinting that he may follow in his father's footsteps as an architect. Either way, it doesn't matter as he gets a happy ending and to be with his family. It is possible that this entire movie was actually just an inception carried out by his friends to finally get him to let go of his wife, but as I said, another time, another video, maybe next week, let's see. Anyway, that's our breakdown, I know we didn't hit everything in the movie as there's just so much more to talk about, but make sure you comment below and let us know if you think there's anything that should have been added. If you want something else to watch, then make sure you check out our breakdown of Joker, which is going to be linked at the end. We go over the coolest little details in that film, so it's definitely worth checking out if you want to know more. Every month on the 15th we give away free Blu-rays, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning the MCU Infinity Saga box set is leave a like and subscribe with notifications on. If you want to support the channel and get to see content early, then please consider clicking the join button below. You can also come chat to us on our Discord server or at Heavy Spoilers on Twitter. If not, then thank you for staying until the end of the video. I've been Definition, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace! And he woke up and it was all a dream.